All right, so we are back. It is the end of April, and we have a week to finish this thing up before LS Fest. And the twins are actually home this time.
Hey guys. For the next few days, we'll be home.
Nice, nice.
As long as you guys want to stay.
Did you miss us?
No. Yes. Yes. I missed him the most.
So Brad and Andy are back too, so this should actually be a pile of fun this week.
Paste.
First things first, we are going to finish up all the loose ends that we did before. If you didn't watch the episodes yet, last work week we basically got a pile of parts to make sure that they fit and that they're kind of in there. There's a couple steps on each section that keeps it from actually being finished.
Hopefully the weather's nice now, so no rain at all.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s.
It's perfect. Here we go. We got a stroker kit from Scat and AFR heads shipped to Canada, where we will send them to Northtown to get assembled on our 6.2, ship the engine back to California, put it in our project vehicle, then drive it back home again.
Look what I did! Look what I did!
It's fine to plunk an engine in there and call it installed, but all the finicky work takes forever. A week and a half of solid work here. We might not have to modify this one. That's pretty sweet.
Should never say that out loud.
Yeah, they're equal length runners. I made sure that I measured it. All right, next video on the 55. You guys have been waiting for it. Now you're wondering, why are you still in your shop? We want to work on the 55 and it's in California. Well, in our last series, when we went down to work there, basically we took all the parts that we had, made sure that they kind of fit together, and realized we were missing a whole pile of one-off little tiny things that kept us from finishing each segment. So what we did was take notes and ordered it here, and we're just gonna mail this to ourselves in California. So we've got our exhaust for our header. So I went to Lyle's and grabbed two 45s and two 90s because that hit our engine mount. We got a selection of bolts. These are for my clutch pedal. These are longer now. That I think this is the right length, but I grabbed one longer and one shorter anyway, just in case. These are the lengths that we wrote down for our panhard bar that goes through our shocks. Even though I think that's the one we wrote down, I don't think that was long enough, so I just grabbed a couple more longer ones. Went to Princess Auto, grabbed a bunch of tech clamps to tie down our fuel lines. And the twins did find our fuel pressure regulator and a whole box of little extras I had from our very first trip. Then, good timing, Ryan, one of our viewers, Ryan Crichton, he watched me solder. It must be an old video because he watched me solder ends onto cables, and he said, no, don't do that. He goes, we got this really handy vice pincher that you take your copper lugs on, stick them on your cable, and then just slam it with a hammer, and then you got a nice solid crimp. So I went and grabbed a hydraulic crimper from Amazon, which we used all over the C10 and the F350, and it crimps it from 6 sides, I believe. But this works very well too. So I'm just gonna mail this to myself so we can make our custom cables and the cables itself. So this came from Saskatchewan, went to Ontario, and it'll end up in California. And if you're following along on Instagram, for our 95, the transmission quit. So when they pulled the transmission, they moved the exhaust. Now it's got a massive exhaust leak. And Lyle was just so good to us that they sent us way too many pieces for the 55 that all we needed was a muffler, and we could build another entire exhaust system. So we're gonna do that on the 95 as well. So we're gonna package all this up, put it in a box, ship to California, and hopefully it'll be there before we get there because we're heading back out again soon. Here we go.
Yeah, I forgot how strong it was.
All right, so I think some of our last boxes showed up, and this is the box that I shipped from myself. All right, Aaron shipped this to us. Now this to finish our header. Nice. We got some random cable, the bolts that we need for our suspension, so all those wonderful things to finish everything up. This was the bolt for the shock in the rear, but it's a grade 5, and because we added our panhard bar to it, we just needed a longer one, so this is the one that I shipped to myself. Now we've got grade 8, and long enough that now the nylock catches the threads. If I could. Okay, so I was a dummy and I forced that bolt in there and I shouldn't have, so I damaged the extra 2 threads that I had sticking out, but they were too long anyway, so I had to take a zip disc and cut the threads off. Now our bolt is nice and tight. Got our grade 8 with the lock nut, so life is good. It just, when you're tired, it just doesn't work as good, but we're getting there. Okay, so before we pull the cab off and pull the engine back out again, we want to make sure the parts that we ordered in the meantime fit. So we got this really nice radiator from Holly, but it goes underneath the sway bars. I got to drop the sway bar down. We'll bolt it in place. It's a direct fit. It lines up nice with these 3 holes. We'll make sure that we got our coolant lines, upper and lower radiator hose, and then we'll build our intake to go around it. And then if we run into any issues, we can buy that locally this week. We just want to take care of that now, so here we go.
You want to put a little heat to it?
Don't think that physically we can get a bigger radiator in here. So if it overheats, we're just in big trouble. We might not have to modify this one. That's pretty sweet.
Should never say that out loud.
we might have to not have to customize or custom.
Yeah. It misses the steering box. It misses the sway bar goes over top. It's gonna be tricky to get the sway bar in. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do that yet, but.
What I'm gonna have to do is bend this out so I can bend that and then bend this back in again. That.
with our fuel pressure regulator right here. I gotta get Aaron to hold it so our return comes out of here. And then the return is gonna run down the firewall and go back to the tank. And then our pressure gauge will be right here. Nicely out of the way.
Alright, Delta Force, build it yourself air intake system. It's got, you know, 90s, 45s, all your different fittings here. You just kind of cut off what you need. The bag comes full of couplings, all different adapters, straight on, depending on what your throttle body size is.
Okay, so 90s aren't ideal, but it looks really nice here. The issue is that the intake is hitting our radiator fan shroud a little bit. So what we're gonna do is cut this 90 off and then cut down a little bit and just put a 45 on it. We're just gonna angle it. That way this will sit much nicer. It'll come out nice and straight. I know why they do it, but if it's too bad that this wasn't in just that little bit so that this was more tight, it might hit the hood or something, who knows. But we're gonna take the time to take that shroud off and just fold that in.
Should we wait for some more bugs to come so it doesn't look like I'm being a psycho? Oh, now it's gonna be green. I'm gonna spray paint everything green. Okay, then. I killed a lot of bugs.
Let's go to the tent.
Okay, so it's next day, day number 2. We've test fitted a bunch of parts underneath the hood, and we've got all the parts for the radiator now, the plumbing for the hoses, we got that figured out, the intake, and the power steering, and then buttoned up some stuff on the suspension at the back. So now we're gonna blow the truck apart again. We're gonna take the front off, take the cab off. Final disassembly. So we have to add the clutch. I got the right fitting from Silver Sport Transmissions to go to an and fitting. This is the bleeder, but my actual fitting is down and below there. So that's crucial. Got to make sure that the clutch fits with the release bearing. We got a new shifter from Silver Sport Transmissions, so that moves the shifter from back here to up here, along with a new handle and a plate to cover this up. And then once we know that that all fits, our drive shaft's getting made right now, which will be ready in 2 days, 3 days. It's the weekend now, so we're running like we've got X amount of time before every other business closes. But I'm gonna weld this header, and then once that's done, we'll pull the engine out and do the windage tray, and then it's final assembly. Here we go. So yeah, there's still no way I can get the header out without tilting the engine, but I can at least manipulate it to weld it.
It's no worse than any other header, right?
No, I know. Reverse. That's awesome. Can't wait. Okay, so taking the old header, cut it back a bit, and go weld that onto there. We got that from Lyle's. It's off by like maybe a 1/16, but that's all right. Put a nice little seam on there. So that will go nicely, something like that. And then I gotta figure out getting into there. That's gonna be tricky, but I'll get it.
ACT twin disc clutch for the T56 Magnum for the LS. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's sexy. Cool.
No pipe bang.
The worst part is there's one at the airport on my dash. I know,
really?
right? Sure as shit, man. I even second guessed putting it in my pocket, but I didn't want to put it in the tray when I got to the airport.
Yeah, now we gotta go on.
a pilot bearing on their dash.
Someone else who's doing kind of the same thing because he wants a copycat.
Good morning, Johnny.
Morning, Johnny. We just got going.
That's good. It's only noon. A little headache.
Once I get this piece, I'll load that up. Vince, you guys start a petition for Vince to get his passport. He's working on it. I got it so I can still put my spark plug on, and they're not touching. And now that's not tight and this one's not tight, so I can take the header off. I can pull that piece out, weld all the seams nice, and then we're okay to pull the engine. Bam! So I'm not hitting my head. You gotta be careful that your exhaust manifold doesn't hit the engine at any time because it'll mess with your knock sensor. So, not that we've got a master tuner here, so we don't really need knock sensors, but just in case. Ah, it turned out okay. Yeah, man.
It even looks the same length as the...
Yeah, they're equal length runners. I made sure that I measured and can't have none of this unbalanced stuff. Clearly it says hooker pointed at the engine. It's upside down too.
Level of difficulty, I'm gonna say it's pretty high. A lot of math is gonna have to go into this. So I need a piece of steel the same length as this piece of steel and the width of this, with a couple holes in it to mount it.
I did get some 2-inch channel iron.
You're trying to really sell that channel iron in.
I think it would be good. It would match this. I made this for the fuel mount, fuel pump, fuel filter. I used some old rusty metal. Hand cut this with my laptop. I have no idea if it's gonna fit. I really hope it does.
Probably don't want there. You got it. You want to bring it forward a little bit? I'm guessing?
Yeah. Can we make a little bracket?
I should have made it just long enough so
You could just bolt it right to there, yeah. I'm gonna make it again.
Canadians. Jesus.
Second one always goes faster than the first one.
I sure need to practice.
do really fancy work.
Thanks. We have to drill holes for that.
Okay.
And then...
Nice.
I was gonna do 2 of them, and I was like, that was way too overkill.
That's much.
But...
I thought that these bracket, I didn't install this last time because I thought this bracket would look better on here, but it only works bolted to the outside of the frame. So they do have a nice little hole in there that we can put our fuel line in. So now we can secure our fuel line, but we did have to cut these back a hair because the springs hit the U-bolts. And it actually straightened the springs out quite a bit. It's better geometry, but now our bolts are too long. So we had to shove a couple bolts back here just because we ran out of threads, and we had the guys looking around town and they couldn't find a 5/8 bolt long enough. So when we get home, we'll just have to swap that out for a proper size bolt to make that look proper. But it's a very universal kit. Just you bolt onto your axle and then bolt to the side of the frame. You can adjust it with some really nice adjustable links. And then we've got our suspension is done. Yeah, you got her. Johnny's learning what a blockade is.
I looked at that and I was like, is that a oil pressure sensor or a, I don't know, like
The flux capacitor relay.
I didn't know what it was. I was very confused.
Yeah,
But
I guess that is not a California option. Al from Skid Factory was the same way. He's like, what is that?
it's a darn hybrid.
Nice. Just throwing the clutch on,
Yeah.
cleaning her up.
Clean her up.
You want to hold something?
Probably gonna need a hand for somebody to hold something. Just this is heavy as shit.
I thought you said it was so light.
It was like
In comparison to a stock one, yes.
your fingers out there?
You got the bolts in your mouth.
I got one of them in my mouth.
Good job.
Great job.
Let's take washers.
Not at this moment, huh?
Okay. These are gonna get washers. Don't worry, guys. I don't think this is gonna fit. Or the flex plate's too, because it's like it shows a 1/4 inch of the gear on the starter. I was overreacting. It smells like maple syrup.
Scott manipulated the other windage tray on it to fit the stroker, but we bought one that does actually fit. They're just making sure that doesn't hit. If it doesn't hit the oil pan, we're good to throw the engine in.
That looks a little more confident.
I'm happy with that. There, we got it. Good catch. I don't know whether that was loose before or not, but anyway, oil pan and then balancer, and there we go. All right, so we bought this pulley because it had the keyway It's the wrong spacing for us, so we can't use it, unfortunately. So we put the other one back on again. Should be fine. It'll get us home. Looks like they know what they're doing.
I don't, he does.
No, I've taken your lead.
Oh, this is a disaster. I thought you were in charge.
You said turn it, and I just started turning.
Okay, let's roll it back, get it closer. Nice and easy.
Right there.
You sure?
Yeah.
You're good?
We're not even close. Tell me when it's lined up.
And one more. That's good.
It was good.
The word was full.
Okay, hold on. Right there. It's not bad. Not 100% done the fuel lines yet, but that's not bad. Like these are all like oil. Steering column's got to go back in again. The intake, yeah, the intake is it's not 100% done. It's not bolted to the inside of the fender. We're gonna build that cover on it. Like install radiators it's all done-ish already. It's not bad. Drive shaft is like super easy on Monday.
We finish off the air filter.
Yeah.
Do that inside the fender before it goes
Yeah.
back on.
Yeah. And yeah, power steering lines to get me the last fitting for that. We're moving right along. The brakes tomorrow. We can race. We can do front brakes and rear brakes. Good? Yeah. Good. Okay.
Wow. A kinetic crimper? Is that what it is?
I don't know, but this thing is awesome. I'm gonna buy me one of these too.
Does that come out or no?
No, I guess so far. So far, so good. There we go. That's it. Nice.
Get it?
Yep.
Man, there's like no mosquitoes out here.
No.
Yesterday.
I know.
Well, I see them as you're saying that, but
They've been summoned.
Why'd you start recording when the drill bit's dull? The other one, no problem. Rich is struggling. I better start recording.
Good job.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Just want to say that.
Yeah, I can't let somebody touch me without touching the back, Steve. So, yeah. What are you putting your nipple at me
I'm sorry. I just wanted to keep you cool. Okay. It looks exactly like it did this morning. Except now we got a clutch, got our shifter in, we've got our exhaust manifold welded, we've got our windows tray in, power steering lines are done, the sway bar is on the back, all the fuel lines are secured, and there's a lot of stuff we knocked off on the list. So tomorrow, brakes, and should be ready to fire Monday-ish. We'll drive shaft on Monday.
I thought we were starting up tonight.
Yeah, we could. If we worked another like 3 hours, we could probably fire it up, but I'm ready for supper. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll have another episode out shortly, and it's been so much fun. So get out there, grab some buddies, work on some stuff. It's a lot of fun. Here we go.